Welcome back to TechPlus. It's time for another week's edition where we discuss all the latest in tech news. It's Eon with you, and also joined, as always, by Kaine. Hello, Kaine. How's it?
Hello. What a great Saturday.
Yes. How was your week?
It was a good week, actually. Nice and hot every day. Bit of a cool Friday. Can't complain. Settled into the new house, so very happy.
Kaine recently moved house. Listen, now I have to ask, now that you bring that up.
Yes.
Is your internet thing sorted now?
Man, oh man. I'll tell you. I mean, last week we spoke about it. For anyone who doesn't know, we basically moved into our new house. Previous tenants had a Vodacom contract. They cancelled that in March. It was successfully cancelled. We moved in and we find out the only way we're going to get internet is if Vodacom releases the line, which I believe they should have done when the client cancels a contract. So, we had to end up calling them basically every day. What was expected to be 72 hours turned into 722 hours, turned into the entire month, turned into every time you call Vodacom, nobody knows what's going on or where it's up to, what's happening. And it was really difficult. And I actually made a point last week to say, if you're a homeowner or you're renting out your house and you hear something about your tenant getting a Vodacom fiber line, just say no thank you, because the only alternative was to basically either wait 30 days or unknown amount of time. Imagine calling once a day every day, and every day you hear about the fact that this is something that's not happening at the moment, nobody knows about it, and it's going to take 30 days. So whether you called on day 1 or day 5, you're told it's going to be 30 days. So, that was incredibly difficult. But Nasna On, I'll tell you what, came through and made sure that line was connected. And what they ended up having to do is, because eventually we got a confirmation from Vodacom that the line had been released, which is a process that has to be done in order for the line to go back into what's called a holding pool with OpenServe, so that other internet service providers such as Nasna and others can claim that line and basically control how fast the line is, and they can perform services on it, and they can basically assist you doing what they need to do. And what we had to do was, even though Vodacom said they had released the line, they hadn't. It was still showing up as claimed. So they basically had to put a new line in the house in order to actually do that. And I just thought that Vodacom was playing so hard to get with releasing the line. They left me only one alternative at the stage other than getting a whole new line put in with OpenServe, and that was to basically get a contract with Vodacom for 24 months minimum. Can you imagine? You're just trying to get an internet connection.
2 years, eh?
And your only alternative is to basically work with Vodacom, the guy who's making it incredibly difficult for you to get it connected, for 2 years, go through the full contract process, be held liable. I was just like, that is just crazy. But Nasna On, that is the future. It's small businesses like Nasna On, the legends there, Henry, Ashley, you guys made sure that I was connected, and that's what people appreciate. That's why we want to work. If Vodacom could provide services like local businesses and actually make you feel like you're important in the conversation, you're going to get a better response. But no, they didn't. Vodacom didn't make sure about that. They made it incredibly difficult to exit their ecosystem, even though the contract was long expired. And Nasna On came in and they made a plan, and I'm connected today because someone out there cared. And who would you rather work with? Someone that doesn't care about you or someone that does? And that's Nasna On.
With the big corporates like Vodacom, you're just a number,
Do you want to hear something else that's crazy about Vodacom? This is insane. I read this today. Okay? If you had invested 1,000 Rand in Vodacom 10 years ago...
How much would I have right now?
300 Rand less.
Excuse me?
I'm not lying.
I'm expecting 300 more.
If Vodacom's share price closed at 89 Rand on the 14th of May 2024, 10 years ago the share traded at 130 Rand, which is a drop of 31%. Meaning if you invested 1,000 Rand 10 years ago in Vodacom, you would now have 690 Rand.
That's not cool.
What?
Is it because that please call me guy, did he take all the money?
Did he take? I don't know what he did, but he did nothing good for Vodacom.
Listen, another cell phone network that had serious problems earlier this week was Telkom Mobile. Their whole network was down.
It did.
Why?
We're not alone here. Bear in mind that Vodacom in August 2017 had a price of 184 Rand. So if you had sold your 1,000 Rands worth of Vodacom stock 10 years ago in August 2017, you would have had an extra 800 Rand. Because you hold all the way till now, you have 300 Rand less. But that doesn't change. MTN as well. At the close of the market on Wednesday, MTN was traded at 221 Rand. 10 years later, the share price declined to 84 Rand, a 62% loss. So if you had invested 1,000 Rand in MTN 10 years ago, unfortunately you'd only have 39% of your money. And that's also insane. And are you ready for Telkom? So in May, between the 14th of May 2014 and the 14th of May 2024, Telkom share price slumped from 39 Rand 40 to 24 Rand 19, a 36.73% drop. So Vodacom had the least of those three. Just bear that in mind. So the mobile ISP set up here in SA is not actually doing very well by the looks of it.
But not just the price of Telkom Mobile. The actual network went down.
Yeah, it went completely dark.
Not the price, the whole network went.
And it was funny because I was in the middle of trying to call Vodacom and Nazen on to get my internet working, and then my phone completely disintegrates.
They really have it in for you here in South Africa.
But did you experience that?
I don't use Telkom Mobile.
Really? Hey?
I've got MTN.
MTN.
Yeah, so Telkom Mobile went down, and you know what they gave all their customers to say sorry?
What?
Did you not get it? A free gig of data.
I didn't
valid
get it.
for 2 days.
2 days. Hey.
Wow.
How much does a gig go for? $30?
Yeah. I don't even know.
Well, $30 over a 2 day is probably much
and
cheaper.
I saw people saying, people on Telkom Mobile saying they lost business because of this outage, And no word yet from Telkom Mobile what actually caused the outage. Man. I see another, just as they fixed the internet undersea cables, another one snapped this week as well.
Wow.
Another one. They're on the way to fix it.
These guys can't get a break.
No.
They cannot.
They can only get a cable break under the sea.
They can get a break. Lots of breaks.
Break, yeah.
Not the right ones, though. Not making them
that's a clever one. Yeah, but shame. So just as they fixed it, they had to depart the Cape Town harbour again. And you know how many days it takes them to get to where they...
It's in the middle of the ocean, literally.
Shame.
Between two continents. So in summary, if you had invested 1,000 Rand into 4 ISPs 10 years ago, if you invested 1,000 Rand into Vodacom, Telkom, Cell C, which is owned by Blue Label, and MTN, you would have 383 Rand today. Cell C or Blue Label, you'd have 447 Rand today. Telkom, you'd have 632 Rand today. And Vodacom, you'd have 686 Rand today.
Not worth it. Note to self, do not invest 1,000 Rand in a cell phone network and wait for 10 years.
You never know. They say buy the dip. It could go up from here, not financial
Nah, it's not looking good, That's a bloody loss. It would be much safer in my little tip jar.
That is
my little piggy bank.
That is crazy. Speaking of crazy, did you know the Hawks raided some Home Affairs head offices?
Why?
So the Special Investigating Unit, SIU, with the assistance of the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation, also known as the Hawks, on Friday concluded searches and seized evidence at Home Affairs offices in 5 provinces. The SIU said in a statement that this is part of an ongoing investigation into the affairs of the department. The SIU was granted a search warrant by the Special Tribunal, a judicial platform established to basically judge on matters from the SIU investigations. On 10 May, they searched offices, and mirror imaging of a server took place at the head office of the department. And basically the search follows a tip-off from a whistleblower. Now this is a tip-off, so conspiracy, that suggested that Home Affairs officials in the identified centers work with syndicates to duplicate application status files applied for in other offices and process them for a fee. The whistleblower also stated that the officials bypass immigration systems to enable foreign nationals who have entered the country illegally to remain in the country and acquire permits illegally and unlawfully, and it was also alleged that the Home Affairs officials were delaying the finalization of the asylum seeker permits to facilitate bogus asylum seekers. Some pretty big statements, eh? So we'll see what happens from that investigation, but the Hawks officially raided some of those Home Affairs offices.
And the Hawks, they don't knock, eh? They just kick down the doors,
No,
eh?
Just enter from above like a hawk.
So just drop in like in the movies.
Yo, and when I read this next part, now we've spoken about Starlink a lot.
Yeah.
Right, Starlink coming to SA and then never arriving, right? It was refused to be able to get into SA, but didn't stop people in South Africa from acquiring Starlink equipment and services. And basically what they do is they buy Starlink through some sort of retailer who has a registered address in, Nigeria or Malawi or Ghana or wherever, not in SA. Then they bring that equipment in here and they basically activate a roaming service. Right, so they can explore the entire earth on this roaming service and get internet from it. So apparently Starlink is currently hiking the prices of its global and regional roaming subscriptions in several countries, including many of the African countries where South Africa roaming users have registered their service. So this isn't in effect of South Africans using the service who aren't allowed to. This is a global price hike, and what blew my mind is the differential of how much that price is being risen in different countries. When you look at somewhere like the EU and you look at somewhere like one of the African countries. So listen to this. Users with service addresses, which is basically what deems what location you're from. So even if you're using the service in South Africa, but you acquired the Starlink equipment with a registered address in Malawi, for example, that increase that you're going to experience is going to be specific to the place you're registered in, which is Malawi. So users with specific addresses registered in the UK have been notified that their global roaming subscription will increase from £200 to £380. That difference is massive. That's the difference between 4,600 Rand a month and 8,800 Rand a month.
Yo.
Can you imagine for a second that you're using a service and it doubles like that?
No way.
From 4,600 to 8,800. I would be like, what? No ways. So these prices will only be effective for existing users in 3 months, while new customers will have to pay them on sign up. Right? But if we look at what this kind of price hike is going to be like in, let's say, Malawi and Nigeria, it basically remained 658 Rand and 590 Rand respectively. So people in the UK for international roaming services are paying now 8,800 Rand, and people in Malawi and Nigeria are paying 660 Rand and 590 Rand. That's a big difference.
It sure is.
That's a good selling point. I wonder how the people in the UK feel about that one. Like, it costs me £380, it costs him £30. That's a big flippant difference. So that's obviously to account for currency devaluations, which is something that is happening in Malawi and Nigeria. So that's very interesting. And then another thing that happened in regards to, Elon Musk and Teslas is that some people have reported that some Teslas might lose steam. What does that mean? That doesn't mean Steam as in the locomotive.
Yeah, no,
Steam is a game library. So people who play computer games buy the games and access the games and store the games in a library of sorts called the Steam library, which is an application on your computer. And one of the things about Model X's and some of the Teslas was that it comes out the box able to play Steam games. However, apparently Tesla might be dropping Steam support on some new deliveries of Model X, according to a message from a company shared by a Reddit user who is expecting to take delivery of the long-range version of the electric SUV. Tesla's message alerts the customer that the company is, quote-unquote, updating the gaming computer in the Model X and says it is no longer capable of playing Steam games. The message ends with a button for the customer to confirm that they will still proceed with delivery. This is crazy to me, right? They're basically saying we're updating the game computer, but what their update is actually doing is downgrading the ability of that computer so that you may no longer play it for Steam. And if you are unhappy with that, sorry, not sorry, you can just not have the car delivered. So that's their resolution. It's like, you bought it expecting A. We've adjusted it since to now reflect B. And if you're unhappy with B, you're welcome to not take the car. And some of these guys put, $60,000 in and wait months and months and months. And then, 1 month before delivery, you get a message like that. That's just like, I don't know. I don't think I agree with that. That's a bit rough. Not that I want to play computer games out of my Tesla. I don't know why they even added that in the first place.
Flippin' why?
While the guy's having autopilot on, he's also playing a very intense game of Call of Duty. Shooting people in the back and legs, and that's just crazy.
This is getting out of hand, actually.
Absolutely mad. And then next up, before we go on to a music break, we're taking a look at Eskom, who have apparently re-employed some of their previous employees. Have you heard about that?
Is that why they're keeping the lights on?
So apparently Eskom has rehired over 24 former employees to help train less experienced staff to stem the declining state of its generating fleet and other operations. Apparently, after some investigation internally, they had determined that, managers weren't managing and leaders weren't leading. So they, after years and years and years, finally decided to take up the trade union solidarity and basically receive a short list of 300 people who could start within a month. And from that, Eskom hired basically a mix of former Eskom employees and people with experience and qualifications relevant to Eskom's requirements, and they've now begun. And we haven't seen load shedding. Eskom says it's not about the elections, so
it's been over 50 days now. Nothing. Like, people aren't even using Eskom's push anymore.
Yeah.
Like, they spoke to the guys this week of Eskom's push and said to them, obviously your app's not being used at the moment. What are you doing? You want to be relevant. And they said, they're trying to stay relevant by now also reporting on outages in your area, like water outages or local electricity outages. So that's nice,
Actually,
keep it going.
I had a 2-day water outage recently this week.
Oh, this whole town had a bloody water outage. And then the water came out looking like milk. For 2 days. I said, is this bloody milk of magnesia coming out of the taps? It was horrible. And you know how long it takes for that white to get out of the system? It takes so long. You can leave your tap running, it will stay white. It looks like milk.
I wonder if it's a water bubble, like air bubbles or something. What causes that? Because if you pour it into a glass and you wait, it actually clears from the bottom to the top of the glass.
Yeah, you're right.
So I think it
goes down after a while.
A lot of air bubbles.
And also stuff for cleaning. What do you call it?
Oh, it could be that as well.
Yeah, to keep it clean.
My goodness. Is it time for a music break?
It sure is. And a sip of water. But not from the tap, okay? So, just before the break, we mentioned water, and Kaine's got a story on water. You'll never drink tap water again after this. Kaine, what happened?
Never again, but I look, this wasn't part of the content that I was going to speak about on the show today, but you've reminded me of it as we were going off air earlier, and it's actually pretty interesting. Apparently, something about the water supply in the UK is either contaminated, or there's a pathogen in there, or there's something. But people who are drinking the tap water in the UK are getting violently ill.
Ish.
And apparently it can take up to 10 days for them to resolve this issue. But a friend of mine in the UK had who works with us, had to rush one of his friends to the hospital because they were violently ill after drinking some of the tap water. And
oh my word.
I believe, they've come out to actually tell people, don't brush your teeth with the water unless you've boiled it before. Don't drink it. Don't do anything unless you've boiled the tap water. So that's not something you usually hear from somewhere like the UK, but
no, we expect it from Africa or somewhere.
Yeah, so that's something that I just.
So it's not just us with our water problems.
No.
Okay, now I feel better.
I feel much better now because our water problems are minor compared to that. Imagine just drinking water and you're getting violently ill. That's no way to to have a water supply. So Hopefully that clears out. But I wonder what could cause it. I mean, I guess if a pathogen or a viral problem happens or bacterial problem happens within your water supply, you've got hundreds of thousands of people exposed to that, and anybody with a compromised or a weak immune system is going to just get knocked properly from whatever it is. And that's exactly what's happening.
So from water cane to lights here in South Africa, they're banning light bulbs.
I heard about that. What type of light bulb is it?
The normal ones, like the old ones that get really hot, the incandescent.
The incandescent and like CFL.
And then CFL is those that if you switch it on, it starts like dim, or it flickers, and then it's dim, and then it gets brighter.
Almost like turns itself on.
That's like your tubes, your fluorescent tubes, and also those who look like, I don't know, how do I describe this? People can't see what I'm showing. How would those, man? Those, like the bulbs like
the
this.
Ones that have the spinny thing.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I call that a curly whirly.
Yeah, that's the exact name, I think.
The one looks like an ice cream, but the other one's more like
I know
square.
Which one you're talking about.
Yeah,
yes.
It's like like little things.
Because what's always blown my mind is when you go to like E4 Electrical, or you go anywhere that sells light bulbs, there are just so many options.
Yeah.
There are like a million different options, and that's before you get to the LED aisle. When you get to the LED aisle, there's like cool white, warm white, there's this,
I love
that.
LEDs.
Oh, and there's ones that work with your phone and have Wi-Fi and
they can change like colors and stuff. That's brilliant.
That's really cool.
And even motion detection ones now. It's got a little eye on it, but then you have to put it in a light fitting that's open. Otherwise, I can't see.
So somewhere I read that the reason that they're changing out some of these light bulbs is because, one, obviously they're phasing out old tech that is high, uses a lot of power, and anybody that has swapped it out will already notice that they're using less power. But also because of the selection, the problem in the selection choice within shops, which is just overcrowded options.
Okay, that makes sense. And also probably to help Eskom a little bit as well. I mean, if we all start using LED, which we should by now. But do you know anybody who's still using the old-fashioned bulbs? With that, I mean the incandescent bulbs where, it's got like a little filament inside that you can see.
I think in the new house I've moved into, they have one of those in the kitchen where it's like ding, 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 and then it's like on.
Okay, no, that's a fluorescent light.
Yes.
Yeah, but I've never liked those lights.
The fluorescents.
You find them in hospitzzs and in pharmacies and stuff. And it's so hurtful for your eyes.
I know, and you go into like a shop or something and you just hear like that hum. Like zzz.
Exactly. When I always think of the doctor's office when I was a child and my mom took me to the doctor's office. It would be so quiet in there, and then you just look up and then those fluorescent lights, they go bzzz.
They're like talking to you almost.
Yeah, that was a bit scary actually. Hey, I wouldn't miss those lights at all. I know that you can actually get LEDs that look like fluorescent, so they can fit into that fitting.
Yes.
But they're actually tubes, not with the mercury inside that you find in CFLs.
They have LEDs.
They have LEDs in. I think most shops by now have replaced their lights with those, like Pick and Pay and so on.
I actually went and bought one of those for my kitchen light, and I found that LED light was at like 3 millimeters too long.
Oh my word!
So I couldn't fit it in. It was like so close.
Oh.
And I thought, am I missing something here? So I had to go and use the good old coal burner.
Yeah, but I don't like when you switch them on as well. They flicker sometimes. It depends on the starter.
Have you checked when they did? They're like struggling.
Then it's like a horror movie.
Yeah.
Bzz, bzz, flicker, and then they go all like black on the sides. Then you know it's done, and then also they glow red on the sides. Then you know also they're done.
Yes.
If they stay red on the sides, like those are weird lights. I think they will be phased out very, very shortly.
They're probably
as well.
not even internationally. So
I think most of those. They probably fused already, they're no longer working. That's how you'll find them in haunted houses.
I read somewhere that South Africa's plug socket standard, the 3 little holes, apparently like the most dangerous ever, because you can actually like insert things into those.
Yeah, because if you look at the UK plugs and also the American plugs, they're much smaller, like thinner little.
Not so easy
dots.
to just.
Yeah.
Like
you can't put your finger in those.
No, you could straight up, if you were a child, you can explore the
Here in
nether
South
realm.
Africa,
That will not be good for
I remember
you.
also as a child, we had like plug protectors. Your parents would plug it in if there's nothing in the socket.
Oh, really?
They would just plug in these little plug protectors. So you can't get that out.
My parents didn't do that. They were like, you
it's
will learn.
Because it's so much easier. Because, I mean, imagine a child crawling and flipping switches it on and puts his finger in there and he's got the whole grid coming through him.
not a good type of solar charge. No, sir. So, ShopRite, I know you use Checkers 60 and 60.
You see the bags all over my place, eh?
No, we've spoken about it.
I even have a little motorbike toy. That
Really? She's such a good customer. They gave you a toy.
I'm a bloody brand ambassador by now.
Brand ambassador. you helped them decide on the Checkers bags.
Yes.
Okay. So ShopRite has announced it is beta testing a new and improved version of the Checkers 6060 app, which lets customers shop from over 10,000 large Checkers Hyper products. So the beta app will continue to offer same-day delivery scheduled within a 60-minute time slot, but will boast a much wider range of products. In addition to groceries, and listen to this is pretty cool. I did not expect this from the ShopRite group. You'd think they are the slowest, but I'm telling you they're on it. Customers will be able to shop for camping and outdoor gear,
Wow.
small appliances, baby products, toys, kitchen and home electronics, gardening supplies, and pool equipment.
Wow, now you had me at appliances. Now I'm really a big fan, eh?
And home electronics. Like you can get
brilliant.
headphones, like chargers, flipping.
Okay, but what about TVs? How are they going to fit that into the little bikes?
This is where it goes. Okay, so the new 6060 app is already available to customers who live in certain parts of Cape Town, with Checkers planning to phase national rollout after beta testing. So ShopRite said that this strategy would help ensure a seamless user experience during the beta testing period. The supported areas in Cape Town include all Cape Town areas, and Checkers has also added new delivery vans to its fleet to facilitate the delivery of larger items.
Not just the biking gang anymore. It's now or the scooter gang.
3 Checkers scooters are carrying your TV, just driving in unison very carefully.
Listen, those guys are rough. I won't be surprised.
They know how to do anything. They can deliver unto you like a KFC milkshake and have it unspilled. They don't even have to. They just know how to drive.
Have you seen them going in traffic?
They deserve
They've got
Oreo
skills,
crusher.
those drivers, eh?
I'm telling you. So this is really cool. So the ShopRite strategy and innovation chief Neil Schrouder said the company was confident the next iteration of 6060 will again disrupt online retail in South Africa. And I have to agree. When I was in Dubai, you could do these things. You could buy electronics, you could buy home appliances, and the guys would bring it. And it was even cheaper than the Mall of Dubai. This is exactly that. It's a way for Checkers 6060 and ultimately Checkers and ShopRite to compete with someone like the likes of Takealot. Because what has Takealot done? Takealot has started delivering groceries within their Takealot app service, right? Their e-commerce store. So what does Checkers do? They start selling electronics, and so competition is born. So I love it. Let's do it. You know, and on the heels of Amazon launching in South Africa, now we have Checkers 6060 that can deliver you a TV, Amazon that can deliver you a TV, and Takealot that can deliver you a TV. We used to just be a one e-commerce kind of shopping experience for the mainstream e-commerce.
It's getting more and more convenient. Sitting on your couch, pushing buttons, and it arrives at your front door.
I'm only going to become lazier with time.
It almost makes it too easy, you know?
Too easy. Shopping off your phone, I mean, there's a certain beauty in going out and you're just exploring and getting some stuff.
Yeah, and just, you know, the excitement, like in the 90s of going to buy a TV. Going into that store, remember Hi-Fi Corporation?
Oh.
And because they had good prices. And then you go and you like check all the TVs, you know, and they're on. You've got the display items there. They all show the same thing and you can see the difference in the quality and stuff. That was exciting. Now, it's not the same. clicking on your phone and getting a...
But I must say, I like shopping online, but I especially enjoy shopping at Kloppers in Iceland.
Oh,
I feel
yes.
like they have such a good setup there.
And they're opening a massive new branch as well in Pretoria at the end of the month.
I was going to say, yes, they mentioned that to me as well.
That's going to be... I saw some pictures and it looks like it's going to be huge.
Good for them, because you can't let people like that be phased out. They'll just provide such good service.
And I actually said to one of the guys at Kloppers, to be able to expand your business in this time that we're living in now, that is amazing. And he said, but it's because it's a family business and they're known for their service, it's like family, they stick together. Because, if you take other businesses, they're all closing.
Yeah.
If there's anything they're doing right now, even Stakinical Game even, if there's anything they're doing right now, it's they're closing stores and retrenching staff. They're reducing, making it smaller. And then you've got a very special story here that's Kloppers, and they're expanding.
That's exactly what you like.
They're adding more employment. They're expanding. That's what you want to see.
And it's the small businesses. It's the family-run stop and shops. It's the Nais, Ons. It's the Kloppers. These are the businesses that provide why do we keep going there? Because they provide a service. Why would we shop at Kloppers if we can shop at Takealot? Because of the experience. You go there, it looks terrific, it's all laid out nice, people are friendly, that's the service that you want.
And when you go to Kloppers, you obviously just turn left immediately after entry.
I know Kloppers as the computer shop. Some people know it. Actually, you know what? Where else can you buy a bed in Knysna?
Do you ever go upstairs?
Yes.
I'd never go upstairs.
But when I went up there, I started. You get sucked in up there. I'm telling you.
Really?
Like Weber's and
is it
kitchenware and no, it's really
I just turn left immediately. Computers and TVs.
Do you go up?
I never go up.
You need to explore there. You will don't.
Am I missing out?
It's so good. It is really like I asked the question: where can you buy a bed in Knysna?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Where could you buy a base and a mattress?
You don't really want to do that on Facebook Marketplace, I suppose.
No.
What's going to be in that mattress? No. That's the question.
You could get like dial a bed that's in George. They'll deliver it, but. I mean, that's a smart small business, knows what the niches are, and they facilitate that, not with just average everyday old products that you can just mark up, but actually good stuff, good stuff at a good price and a good service.
Kaine?
Yes.
Have you ordered off Temu?
Man, I haven't, but I've seen people are lining them up in their sites, eh?
Because I've ordered from Temu this week.
And any news, any shipping details yet?
It says it's on the way.
From where?
After 2 days. I don't bloody know.
I saw some videos.
It just says it's on the way, but then afterwards I saw some really bad reviews. I was like, oh no, what if they took my money? But we'll cross the bridge when we get there. But I'm not hearing good things here from South Africa. One guy said he is in the garden route. Firstly, they delivered it to Port Elizabeth, Kuberga, and then apparently Temu is using, here in South Africa, they're using a courier company that's not very good. I think it's called Buffalo Couriers or something.
Okay.
It's not very good according to the people, so let's just say allegedly they're not good. And parcels are not being delivered. They delivered to the wrong cities. Like the guy who lives here in the garden route, his stuff went to Kuberga, Port Elizabeth.
Well,
then they sent it to George, and that took even longer. And then so they went through Knysna from Kuberga to George, and then had to go from George back to Knysna again.
You can't make this up. I saw a video on TikTok today where you see a warehouse with apparently with all this Temu stuff that's in boxes already, and they kind of just pile it onto a massive pile. And then it gets filtered down. It's quite a scene. It looks like there's a lot of stuff.
I'm a bit worried because what if my stuff so it's not, is it coming from overseas actually or not?
I think it all comes from overseas, yeah. So apparently Europe isn't happy with Temu. The European Consumer Organization, BEUC, and 17 of its member groups have accused the e-commerce platform of violating Digital Services Act, DSA rules, urging the EU to designate Temu as a very large online platform or a VLOP to make it comply as it did with Shein last month. The complaint says Temu does not guarantee its users a safe, predictable, and trustworthy online environment as the law requires. Concerns include Temu's gamification features, misleading products, and overall lack of transparency regarding its business operations. Whether that means you're getting your product or not, I don't know.
Well, Kaine, I will let you know. It says between between the 24th of May and the 5th of June. So
2025.
Because I was speaking to my cousin the other day, and I said, what if it comes on the shipping container and there's a massive storm and then the container falls into the sea? What happens? So, yeah, but I'll definitely let you know. And, we'll also see what it looks like, the stuff that are ordered. But I know a lot of ladies in South Africa, they order clothing from it. And they say it's actually quite nice. They say it's a bit of a gamble on the quality. But you know what I find it fishy on the app. That's why I deleted my card details afterwards. So don't save your card on there. Just do the payment and then delete it afterwards. God knows what's going to help.
Until you're sure.
But the app is a bit dodgy because every day they send you these notifications and they keep saying, oh, you're special, here's a reward. Or because you use Temu, here's a 1,500 Rand voucher. That kind of stuff.
You know what it is? It's Asian-based marketing.
Is that how they? Because it's freaking annoying, I must tell you.
It is, but it works. Like, look how many people have picked it up and started using it.
I get very suspicious when those. I actually switched it off because
you're not used to it.
Every day it's calling me a winner and I'm special and all that stuff.
It's very scammy. It's like to a South African, that's like, no, you're a scam.
It really rings my bell, hey.
Speaking of bells, is it time for music break?
Oh yes, let's have some bells.
Now you're going to have to find a song with bells in it. Good luck, sir. You should include that in the show just before it cuts out.
And we're back with TechPlus, and this is, of course, the final stretch for this week as we wrap it up and talk about the week's biggest tech stories. Kaine, what have you got for us next?
Let's talk about a little bit of a funny thing, and then we talk about a little bit of a cool thing.
I always like a funny thing.
A judge has ruled that tacos and burritos are sandwiches, right?
No.
This is crazy. So, this is an Indian judge has ruled that tacos and burritos are sandwiches. And this follows a long and strenuous battle in court that has been waged for years long. And they've finally come to this conclusion that tacos and burritos are in fact sandwiches.
So they're now identifying as sandwiches. No, not in my books.
And then here we go with NASA. So this is pretty cool. NASA's quiet supersonic aircraft is getting closer to taking flight. We've been waiting for the Quest with 2 S's, X-59, and the return of a supersonic air travel for years now. NASA's latest update says that things are moving along. So a flight readiness review board composed of independent experts from across NASA have completed a study of the X-59's project team approach to safety for the public and staff during the ground and flight testing. So what does this mean? Well, this is 15 years after the Concorde. So what's the problem with supersonic jets? Well, when you break the speed of sound, you get an awfully loud bang, right? And this is flying at twice the speed of sound, so it's pretty fast. Supersonic jets fly really, really fast, but they'll turn a 9-hour flight into a 4.5-hour flight. So technologies have been slowly but surely coming to, catching up and making it possible so that something may reach supersonic speeds without the supersonic bang. And that's essentially what they're trying to do here. Trump was actually one of them that requested that be somewhat lifted in the US. And since then, laws and policies have come into play that does create a little bit of a wiggle room for supersonic aircraft, of which many have come to fruition through things like fundraising and Kickstarters and public raises and things like that. And these kind of projects are coming to the market now. So we could see a time in the next few years where supersonic air travel is actually something that we do and is maybe available commercially. I mean, traveling at supersonic speeds would get you to Johannesburg in about 35 minutes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, maybe even a bit less, a bit more. So that's pretty fast.
That's bloody fast. Yeah.
That's a hell of a fast.
Yeah.
So
good.
we spoke about it last week. Hell of a funny. We spoke about the Apple ad that got so much bad publicity.
Oh, yes.
When they had pianos and guitars and radios and speakers and
it was brilliant,
and every bit of creative juice that is a physical piece of equipment was basically piled onto what I would say by a 2 meter by 4 meter giant, multi-ton press, and it was just crushing these things, these guitars, these pianos, and they had like things of paint, obviously, to add effects while they exploded, and spray paint, and it was just a hell of a show, and it crushed all this creative equipment, and then after it had finished crushing everything and becoming absolutely pancake flat, it slowly lifted up, and underneath it was an iPad. Mm-hmm. And that was the ad for the iPad.
That was really good.
And we were like, that's so good and that's so great. But some people did not find that funny at all.
I remember.
You're gutting, human creativity, and you're spitting on human creativity through, types of equipment that have been around for years and years and years. And, some guys were like, read the room. And it was like kind of like a big stink that happened. And Apple publicly apologized, and I don't think they had to. I think it was pretty cool. It's just an ad. Like, whatever, pianos break all the time from worse fates than, being crushed. But Samsung didn't let that lie. Samsung decided to make an ad. This is not a joke. This is legit.
No.
Samsung made an ad where this person is walking through rubbled, crushed goods like piano pieces and paint, like just things that have been crushed and obliterated, and ends up picking up a guitar. And the person who picks up the guitar sits down, and bear in mind, they're in the scene of crushed. It literally looks like the end of the Apple ad, right? Where someone walked in, picked up a guitar.
Brilliant.
Right? Started playing the guitar, reached over and turned on their Samsung Galaxy Tab with the music notes on it, and started playing this guitar that is wrecked. And I was like, damn, wow. Samsung.
Yes, you see, that's the kind of marketing I love.
I love it when it just goes neck and neck like that. Like, two big corporates.
Yeah, and you got to act fast, while that ad is still hot and relevant. You got to make yours.
So I love that.
That's brilliant.
In some other news for anyone that might be interested, GTA 5 has got an official release date. They're earmarking potentially up to $5 billion worth of sales. So that's pretty crazy. That's going to be early 2025. We're also taking a look at LG's $100,000 rollable OLED TV, which is literally as it sounds, it can roll up, is cancelled.
Why?
Well, first of all, how profitable can a $100,000 TV be? But the LG Signature OLED R TV is no longer for sale. But if you get in line now, maybe you can snag LG see-through TV that's scheduled to launch late in 2024. So LG is no longer making the Signature R TV that rolls down and hides in its stand, according to Chisholm, which reports LG has already repurposed the manufacturing line for other TVs. So it's a one-hit wonder kind of thing. They're no longer making it. It's really cool. It literally rolls into a TV stand. And the TV stand is like hollow at the bottom, so there's not enough space for this TV to slide into technically, but there is because it rolls up. So pretty cool piece of tech. If you didn't buy one, you're not going to be able to get one now. Maybe you can get one secondhand. And then we have Twitter. So I'm sure you remember that Twitter, you could access from twitter.com. If you go to twitter.com, it brings up the X branding and everything.
Yeah, well, it says formerly Twitter.
Now it's officially x.com. So okay. Twitter is now officially x.com. The social network formerly known as Twitter has switched over to x.com as the primary domain.
Okay.
So no longer will you be able to access it from twitter.com. It'll probably automatically redirect straight to x.com.
But what would you say now instead of saying, I think a lot of people will say this forever because it's a hard habit to break now. Instead of saying, I sent out a tweet, what would you say now? Would you still say I sent out a tweet? Probably, because what else do you say? I sent out an X. I just X'd you.
I just spoke to my ex and sent her an X. Like, what are you gonna... How do you string that together? I just X'd 3 times. What does it even mean? Just sent out 3 X's.
It sounds naughty.
So, at a Beverly Hills mansion, an electric truck is capable of being the source of power. So this was last week, General Motors summoned a small group of journalists to a Beverly Hills mansion to witness the future of home energy. This will be particularly interesting to any South African. And it started with a preemptive blackout. So sunset fell on the Hollywood Hills General Motors home. And essentially what they did was they simulated a blackout, and they basically used the vehicle, the Chevy Silverado EV, parked in the garage to fully power the house. So this is the future of electric vehicles, where if your house has no power, you can just plug your car into it and power your house. Have you ever in your life imagined that? Imagine someone was like, don't worry, bro, if you run out of power, just plug your car in. Like, what do you mean? Just plug your car in.
Reverse. Oh, no.
My batteries are
flat. It would be nice here in South Africa if we still had load shedding.
Yeah. Now it's too late. Like, we're not even interested in this tech anymore. Sorry, bro.
Yeah.
Too early, too late. Too late to the market.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's really, really cool. That's really, really cool. So you can now use your electric vehicle to essentially provide your house with the power. So if you're in a real, I mean, imagine that if you travel with this truck, that means your caravan, everything, you don't need to rely on a caravan park that has electricity output. You just literally plug your car in, and when you use all the power up watching Netflix, you can't go anywhere. You're completely stuck. You can't even drive.
I told you not to watch Netflix all night. Now we can't go home.
Now we're here forever. Now you're pushing it, and you can't. I mean, these cars are heavy. These batteries are really, really heavy. And that brings us to the end.
Yeah, have you ever heard this sound?
The Bluetooth device is connected successfully.
Yes. On all the cheap speakers
exactly.
that I bought in my life. I know that sound.
Cheap speakers. Apparently all the Chinese speakers come with that, but the people are making memes about it and joking because they say, like, the woman, there's like a bit of hesitation there. And there's also this chick on TikTok, people making fun of her because they say she speaks like that lady, but she didn't even know what it's all about.
Really?
Yeah, she was like, what do you mean I sound like Bluetooth lady?
Oh, apparently, like, the person who made the voice of, like, the TikTok, those very famous TikTok voices, didn't actually know they used it to make that filter. Like, she just came in to do some voiceovers.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden, like, her voice is literally...
Is it Cat? Is her name Cat?
I think so. I can't remember, but it was
because now she's on all the videos.
Yeah.
So.
How crazy is that, eh?
Okay, well, I hope she's getting some form of payment now.
I know.
With her voice being used.
I hope it's not a situation like the Vodacom please call me guy, who's apparently in private communication. Do you know the court ruled that Vodacom is to pay him a minimum of 29 billion?
I saw that in the report of Business News this week.
And then all of a sudden it's just
minimum.
Quiet. No one says anything.
So at least that
private
amount,
communication.
No less than that.
That's crazy, eh? Imagine getting that. You must feel really good.
Yeah, Vodacom is going to push up their prices big time, eh? Because they've got to make up for it somehow.
I think their share prices can handle it,
that's
to be honest.
That's a big problem. One of these days,
No, that's not good.
It's not good.
Moral of the story: if someone invents something for your company, don't go 15 years without paying them, because the bill can sometimes be a bit bigger than you expect. You know.
I think they were probably convinced they're gonna get out of it.
Imagine how much stuff they've gotten out of for them to have that sure belief that this is never gonna come back to get them.
You see, but I really admire the Please Call Me guys' tenacity and perseverance.
The definition of never give up, never surrender.
He really believes in it, and he's not letting go.
And he got it. Good on him. I wonder if we're ever going to find out what it was.
Imagine getting an SMS and then that amounts in your bank account.
Minus tax.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder.
It's still so much money. It's just like there's an endless supply of money.
And he can finally rest, But, with all the stress and stuff, probably shortened his life anyway.
It did.
Got to ask yourself at the end of the day, it's really worth it.
But then you got to ask yourself, do you think 29 billion can extend your life slightly? I think it can add a couple years.
You can get a head transplant or anything possible with that money. But anyway, Kaine, another great show. Thank you so much. And you must have a lekker weekend. We'll see you next week, same time, same place.
Same time, same place. Thank you so much to all of our listeners for listening in. We'll see you next week.
Cheers, man.
Bye-bye.
Bye.